Guys, welcome back to Vince Vale Custom. So today I'm sharing with you a custom Supergirl statue that was made from the Captain Marvel premium format from Sideshow Collectibles. Now this is sort of based off the Micheal Turner version of Supergirl. I was sent this book with all details and everything of how we wanted to follow the artwork. So kind of go over everything, but just to give you guys a better idea, we'll sort of like, so you can kind of see like where the artwork was supposed to be. Now, I know this is, you know, a Micheal Turner version, but it's also kind of more of a Sideshow statue, so it's kind of hard to sit there and be like, well, you know, this is going to be exactly like Micheal Turner's artwork, which you can't really do, but I think it worked out pretty well. I mean, you could kind of see how she looks. She looks a little shiny in camera, but that's because my floodlights are kind of blaring on her, but she's not that shiny. I possibly might need to just go back in there and kind of dull it a little bit down more. It's probably because I was handling it a lot, just to kind of get a lot of it painted. But all in all, she worked out pretty well. So, kind of go over everything, and we'll start up top with the head. So, the Captain Marvel head worked out pretty well. So what happens is, I had to kind of rebuild this neck here and put the head on there. This hair is actually from the Sideshow Fathom Micheal Turner statue. The client that I did this for, he had an extra head. I'm not sure if he had an extra head or he found one on eBay, I forget. But he wanted to use that hair for this statue, and I think it worked out pretty well. Basically what I had to do is sort of get this head attached to the statue, sort of rework this neck, and then put the hair on. But then what we did is we kind of re-sculpted this part here for the hair. Sort of the follow the front of this artwork. Hopefully we get in the camera so you can kind of see that little wisp coming over on the side. That's kind of what we tried to follow here. But since the flow of the hair is going that way, we had to do the opposite way, which is fine. So, but it worked out pretty well. It's still, this Captain Marvel head, still one of the best heads I think Sideshow ever really produced. It's a really great sculpt. I love it. The statue itself is great too, but there's limitations with this statue. We'll kind of go over it all. So, once I pretty much got that, you know, neck done and everything, kind of had to rework the outfit and stuff. So, the Captain Marvel, if I remember, it had the symbol here, it had the shoulder pad stuff, you know, so I had to take all that down and I had to re-sculpt it here. Now, Supergirl is not known for a big chest, so I kind of kept the same scale chest on her, but I had to kind of just rework them a little bit because of the way it was sculpted, because they had the star in the middle of her and it was kind of separated, so I kind of like pulled it in a little bit and kind of reworked it. And then after that I kind of just added I guess her like cuffs over her hands. At first I sculpted a little too low and he wanted it higher, so we kind of brought it up a little bit more. It's kind of to follow that artwork style that Micheal Turner would do. Then after that, basically I did the boots too. Had to do the boots first. So it's just a matter of kind of following the boots from her. So we kept the boots of the bottom of the Captain Marvel. I just took off some of those lines and re-sculpted this stuff. So we didn't go super detailed. Kind of wanted to follow the artwork as much as possible, so it's not like crazy textures or wrinkles or all kinds of like zippers or anything like that. We kind of kept it more toward the artwork. Now, the skirt was a little bit tricky. So, the way I came up with the idea, and we went kind of back and forth. Once I rolled out some eaves and I got a big flap of it, I put it around and I kind of created these, like, you know, flows. So you kind of see how the flows back here with the booty. It's the best booty shot I could kind of give you. So I wanted to see, like, at least this booty cheek kind of hanging out. But she had a lot of wrinkles in her artwork. And I'll kind of pull out that one image. Let me see. We have a lot of images here. Not that one. This one. Sort of this one, in a way. No, maybe not that one. Hold on. Yeah, this one right here. So, this is kind of more of the famous artwork. So the way Micheal Turner, you know, had the flow coming here nice and kind of curvy. I know he had a lot more, like, sort of wrinkles, but it's kind of hard to do that with, like, the eaves and everything, and then, like, worry about breakages and stuff. So what I did is I created the bottom part sort of, like, stretched, but the wrinkles up here and everything. And that's kind of worked out pretty well. Now, some of the artwork shows it, but some of it doesn't. We kind of went back and forth. Like, if you look at this one, there's like a very, very tiny dark black blue line on top of it. So I asked, I said, maybe what we should do is when we do the belt, we should do like a little bit of a light blue area here with the belt. And I think it works a little bit better for this one. So that's kind of what we did with that. Now, for the belt, this is a metal rod that's kind of, I have like those brass metal rods. I had to kind of grind one down and bend it, and I pushed it in there. So this has a little bit more strength to it, but you can still push this and break it. So I told him you got to be very careful with this. But it's definitely stronger than a piece of Aves, because a piece of Aves you could kind of like flick it and it would probably break. But at least with that metal rod in there, it's not going to break or anything. So that's kind of what we did with that. Now, the cape was very, very tricky. So it's always hard to match cloth with paint. There's only so much you can do with it. So what I did was I took this cape and I studied this like yellow, because this is the cape from the Sideshow premium format Supergirl. I guess he either had an extra one or he got it or he found one on eBay. I'm not really sure, but this is from that Sideshow statue. So this yellow, I had to sort of match like a pearled yellow to this yellow to kind of keep it in flow. Now the only problem though is if I did the yellow like the belt, which is kind of more of a flatter yellow, you wouldn't match that thing. But the problem is with this yellow here, he kept saying that it looks like it's a green in there, and it's actually not. It's actually, this yellow is as close to this pearl yellow as it gets. If you look at my beginning of my video with the paint ups, I never painted blue on this stripe. These stripes or these stripes, or even this one here. This one I did a little bit, but not these. And what it is, it's sort of like this blue is reflecting down into it a little bit. And there's nothing I can really do about that. But if you kind of look at her boots, it's the same thing. There's no really like, it doesn't look greenish in there because it's not like this looks a little bit maybe because it's reflecting from this blue. But if you look around here, it's perfectly fine and it matches this as close as possible. And that's just the blue reflecting. Nothing I could do about that one pearls. I mean, even if you kind of look around these areas up here with her hair, if you kind of go up to her hair a little bit, like at times it might look a little bit of a, like kind of a green because the blue is kind of reflecting into it. So that's just what happens with a 3D item, you know, a sculpt. Because these areas here is actually titanium gold Tamiya, which will block out any color, even black. And then when I put the yellows over it, that's how I got that. Same thing with the S symbol, because if you look at the S symbol, you against the red, it doesn't really look any kind of like greenish, like yellow. That's because it's against the red. But when you have the blue, this yellow against there, it reflects. So it's kind of an optical illusion. So that's kind of how it is. But when you kind of look at her and you kind of turn her in certain directions, when it grabs the light, you get that yellow brightness to it. So that's kind of one of those things that kind of, you know, it's either you do perfectly yellow out of the bottle and you don't get that reflection, but if you start hitting pearls, you sort of kind of get it. But I think it works out okay. But I mean, even if you kind of get this area close to this blue here, it starts to turn into almost like a greenish because it's reflecting. That's kind of just how things work. But all in all, it worked out pretty well. For her symbol on her chest, it's hard to see from this angle, but we sort of kind of curved it a little bit, the way Micheal Turner did it. So the upper part is a little bit curved, and this is a little bit curved. And then what we did is we sculpted this yellow piece here, so these cape pieces could go into these holes. That's kind of the best way we came up with this one. And he was okay with that, because you can't really... It's the way her outfit is and the way the cape is, we have to find a middle ground for it. But I created 2 holes up there, and since this cape has rods, if you're very careful, you can just kind of put it into those holes and it stays perfectly fine. Now, I'm not going to mess with the cape. I'm not going to try to like kind of flow her for anybody in the video because I don't want to bend the wires. It's got it the way it's good. We're happy with it. I'll send it out to him, and then he could take the cape and flow it the way he wants and done. Because, you know, if I sit there and I'm trying to flow it just for a picture, and then he gets it, we could kind of warp those wires and break them. So I'm not doing any of that. Like, whenever I get stuff from people, it's always like, I'll make it work, but on your end, you flow it the way you want, and you get it to where you want, and leave it alone. Because, you know, any type of wired cloth items, if you keep playing with it over time, they will snap. So the wires are good, everything's good, it just looks messy because I'm just leaving it as is. Alright, so The whole idea of the base, though, was he wanted to, if I remember correctly in the email, it was supposed to be off the Gotham City sewer or some Gotham City, like, water, where she crash landed. This is the Micheal Turner version. And the idea was the ship was supposed to be broken with water. Now, the problem with this, like I said in the beginning of the video, was the engineering. The engineering of this item is different from most statues, so we don't have a peg down into the bottom of the foot. The peg is up her leg, and then it bends into this key here, where the Captain Marvel went into that mask. So we have to work with the item, because I can't put a key in here, because if I tried to put a metal rod in here to support her, it would hit that metal rod, and then you would have a weak point, and she could snap at the ankle. So we have to kind of keep it with this. And the problem is, if you bring her down lower, the feet are going to hit the base and all that. So what he wanted to do in the beginning, and this was kind of the idea, but like I said, sometimes these customs change. You got to work with the item and go from here and there. We broke off the mask from the Captain Marvel, and we were going to utilize that as the ship, and we were going to create like water puddles, and all these rocks in here, which are like Kryptonian rocks from the ship, are glass shards for like a fish tank. So I broke them up and everything, and this is an S symbol from I guess like a belt buckle. And the problem was, as I told him, I said, the problem with like liquid resin and clear resin, if you want to make a puddle and pour it, it's got to be in a pool. It's got to be pooled. Otherwise, what happens is it just kind of leaks down and it goes around the edge. And if you want to create splashes, like water splashing against the ship, you sort of have to... Two ways of doing it. One is if it's in a pool and you can keep it within a cup, you have to use like a blow dryer and use that like fast setting like clear resin type stuff and blow it and kind of create a thing. And then that raises the cost. You have to buy those chemicals. You have to create the whole base. And then if you really want to make splashes coming up, that's something you would sculpt, make a mold, do clear resin, put it in, and then kind of use like clear resin to kind of merge them. And it's like I said, you could go that route with an item, but it creates so much work. And then the other problem is even if you want to just put the ship in and kind of create water, you have to have it cupped. And with this piece here and this, it just... everything just kind of didn't work out the way we wanted to. And that's just engineering with this type of an item. But after we talked about it and we kind of brainstormed more, he thought about it. He says, why don't we do like a Fortress of Solitude, like in the Arctic area. So we kind of painted this sort of to kind of match the Superman premium format base. And then what we did is we took this piece like it's a broken ship from the Captain Marvel and we put it in here. And then we got AK Interactive snow and ice. And on my live stream, I put this all together. And I think this worked out awesome. I really actually like the snow look better than the water. I mean, the water would look cool, but the water, you got to take it up a notch. It's more money for chemicals. It's more planning. It's more engineering. You gotta probably would have to build a different base, more of a cup. But with the snow, I think this looks really cool because what happens is when you pull her away now, the whiteness of this base makes her pop more too. And I think if you put her next to like a Superman premium format, it kind of becomes uniform, and I like it. Usually I don't like bases being like super white or prominent, but I guess with her being Superman and you're so used to seeing her like him in the Fortress of Solitude, it kind of works, and I like it. So it worked out pretty well. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, we just kind of wanted to follow the paintwork of Micheal Turner. So I just kind of got a really nice rich blue from like the comic I matched, the reds, the yellows. And then it was just more like the hair and the face was kind of like going back and forth. So her makeup, you know, she has like very heavy blush. Well, not heavy blush, but he puts like the way it was colored on her face was like blush. Very heavy eye makeup. Eyes are very colored a specific way, and then very light lips. So she's got very pink lips that are sort of glossed up, and it's not very heavy lips. And then her eyes are, you know, very heavy, you know, eyelashes and on the bottom and stuff. And then her eyes are kind of painted up that way. So there's only so far you can take it because it's not a Micheal Turner head sculpt, but it's also trying to match as best as possible. And then the hair is kind of like, sort of not really yellow out of the bottle. It's got like yellows. It's got a little bit of darker yellows, but it's more like whites. And then what I did is I did a lot of highlights with a paintbrush up here. And then I misted like a pearl all over the hair. So as you turn her, you get some really cool highlights with the pearl. And I think that makes the hair look pretty good. But all in all, that is it. I think it worked out pretty well. It was a fun project. This is probably... So I did the new 52 Supergirl. And now I did a Micheal Turner Supergirl. Let's see. And I like it. So maybe down the line, if I ever get a chance, I could do some of the other classic Supergirls. But this one is kind of the Supergirl I remember the most because of the 90s with Micheal Turner. I remember the old Supergirl from, like, you know, before the Crisis and stuff. But this is kind of the Supergirl that throughout the whole 90s when I was collecting is kind of what I remember the most. And I kind of enjoy this one a lot. So... all in all, that is pretty good. And I think the next Supergirl I'm doing, which is for myself, would be the Linda Danvers one, which is the white t-shirt with the tight skirt, blue skirt. That's kind of one I'm going to be making for myself. So that'll probably be the next Supergirl down the line whenever I can get to it. But as far as commissions for people, New 52 and now Turner Supergirl, so it works out pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with this one. Pretty much, Supergirls are always fun to work on because of the colors and designs and stuff, but it worked out pretty well. So the only thing left now is packing. Sadly, with this item, she will never go back into that box that she came with because of the skirt and the hair and the head. Everything's attached in the base. So this is going to be wrapped up like a football. I'm going to be wrapping, like, you know, bubble wrap all around her like crazy, and I'm going to be putting it in and stuff. So this is kind of like the next step with that. But because I secured this pretty well, and then these hair pieces have like metal rods and metal in there and stuff, everything should be secured for packing and stuff, so I shouldn't be too worried. But all in all, that is the Micheal Turner Supergirl off of the Captain Marvel Premium format. So let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.